Explain. What are we doing, Dorkus?
Well, we're doing something different this week, Kitteh. See, as mentioned in the last episode, we are just getting into the holiday season, and I will be traveling to visit with family, which means I will not be able to record at our usual scheduled times. So we're packing in a couple of extra chapters as we can so that there isn't a break in our non-tent, which is the word I phrased for this
I dig
content,
it.
which thank you.
I don't agree, but it's clever. It's a clever name. Yes.
Yeah, I have to workshop it in a couple of different contexts to figure out exactly how it's going to work, but we'll make something happen with it. And essentially, we wanted to try, I floated this idea to Kitty about doing a completely blind read. So for chapter 10, neither of us has read a single word of the chapter going in. So this isn't exactly going to be an abridged chapter, although frankly, the last few chapters
we haven't abridged much, but
yeah, we're just enjoying it too much. Nothing can be cut. So bear with us as we sort of figure out how this is going to work, because we're going to be reading it and discussing it. It's going to be strange, and I hope an enjoyable thing.
Let's see how it goes.
Yes.
Read! I'm just going to let Dorkus read the whole time, and then I'm just going to be like, oh, I suppose I've got to get commentary, hey?
We'll see. We'll see. But hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKitteh. Kitty and I are both going into this story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment we intend to... hello. I need to open
it.
Cover. You went into it. Hold on. Hold on. You know what? This will be a good... Let me warm my voice up right now. Singing a sad song. Okay, hold on.
No.
We spoke about this. We spoke about this. Why do I not know it off by heart? And I think it's because it's at 4%. Where the hell am I?
What? What's at 4%?
The diagram. I can't find the diagram.
I'm so confused.
Oh God, ruin it, Chintzia. Come on. Now I'm just giving you time to read a little bit ahead, which is just not where.
I was supposed to read ahead? What?
No, I just know that you were probably scanning the pages.
I have not. This is
good.
100%
committed to the bit. Good.
I'm very committed.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Each segment we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 10.
Chapter 10!
Doing it live!
We're doing it live! It amazes me how many nations have united behind our purpose. There are still dissenters, of course, and some kingdoms regrettably have fallen to wars that I could not stop. Still, this general unity is glorious, even humbling to contemplate. I wish that the nations of mankind hadn't required such a dire threat to make them see the value of peace and cooperation.
Ooh. Epigraph discussion needed now.
Okay.
What's your initial reaction, dude? Yeah.
Well, peace and cooperation, by force, the whole world must learn of our peaceful ways. By force is what I came to. I was getting Star Wars prequel vibes a little bit.
It amazes me how many nations have united behind our purpose. Like, it's not that amazing when it's by force.
Right.
Of course, or regrettably, regrettably they fall into wars that I could not stop. Is this after the deepness has been undeepened?
I don't think. Well, maybe that it wasn't where my mind.
Where did your mind go?
But where did my mind go?
Where is my mind?
Up until this point, I had never thought of Epigraph Man on a tremendously large scale. We knew he was a nobleman and he was traveling with guides that he replaced for the terracemen when that was necessary, but I had never really thought of him as being in charge of a kingdom type thing, and it sounds like that might be the case here, and that he's now amassing many forces to stop the apocalypse.
Ah, yes. Oh, yeah, it makes sense that it hasn't happened. He's amassing forces, and they needed a dire threat to make them see the value of peace and cooperation. Oof.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think we agree here that this perception of peace and cooperation, this is by force.
Yeah,
We're both seeing through the Delulu over here.
and obviously this is some sort of holy war, right? Because
Mm.
if he's the prophesied hero, there's prophecy involved, there is an apocalypse. So
Mhm.
I suspect that there are elements of that built into this as well.
Yeah, and you have to make sure that there's all these, because we have been exposed to all the different religions. Well, exposed to them.
Mhm.
We know about that there were many before the Lord Ruler tried to kill them all off. We know that. I think that's what makes us like go, ha ha, peace and cooperation, right? Because we know that the things were killed off and hunted and whatever. So, and I say things as in like literally sects and all other religions. They needed a secret society to hold on to them, basically. So yeah, peace and cooperation, my ass. So
Anything
let's
else to...
yeah. No,
Nope, we're good.
let's go.
Let's go. Vin walked along a street in the cracks, one of Luthadel's many Ska slums, with her hood up. For some reason, she found the muffled heat of a hood preferable to the oppressive red sunlight. She walked with a slouch, eyes down, sticking near to the side of the street. The Ska she passed had similar airs of dejection. No one looked up, no one walked with a straight back or an optimistic smile. In the slums, those things would make one look suspicious. She'd almost forgotten how oppressive Luthadel could be. Her weeks in Felice had accustomed her to trees and washed stone. Here there was nothing white, no creeping aspens, no whitewashed granite. All was black. Buildings were stained by countless repetitive ashfalls, air curled with smoke from the infamous Luthadel smithies, and 1,000 separate noble kitchens. Cobblestones, doorways, and corners were clogged with soot. The slums were rarely swept clean. So let's take a moment there to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate. I think last week we talked about how we're having so much fun with all of these characters, it almost makes the world feel not as oppressive. And we have to remind ourselves
Yeah,
repeatedly.
we've been reminded. Like, so we were with Vin on this, adventure of different looking things. I mean, remember how she's never really seen how something so clean, like as the nobleman's house, like as much as she had been on jobs in nobleman houses or whatever, she's never like walked around in a lit house and seen it so bright. And yeah, everything looked very different. And actually she's now going to be thinking about how this visually we've been with Vin on this. Oh, things actually look different, because as she says
Yes.
here, it's like things are actually brighter at night than they are during the day. Okay, so I thought she was going to talk about like they're actually brighter in Felice, but it's because she's she's so used to the mists. Now the darkness has changed. The darkness is something else. That's what I'm thinking. It's like the darkness is freedom now and all of that. And now it's like during the day, everything is strange. So she's saying they're
Yes.
actually
And
brighter at night than they are during the day because she can
you
see all the
also have
different colors. Yeah.
also keep in mind that she's gonna be walking through this city now with a newfound sense of confidence that she didn't have
Hmm.
last time we were with her in the city.
Yeah. She has to now put a dampener on. Not that she walks around in this way, like she doesn't swagger and all of that. I don't believe she just has that confidence, but she knows that she can defend herself. So she's walking here changed. She has changed in these months.
Yes.
She's not
Okay,
as
so
defensive as she was before.
yes.
Mm.
Okay, so please rethink that thought for me.
It's like things are actually brighter at night than they are during the day.
Vin thought, pulling her patched ska cloak close. Turning a corner. She passed beggars huddled on corners, hands outstretched and hoping for an offering. their pleadings falling vainly on the ears of people who were themselves starving. She passed workers walking with heads and shoulders bowed, caps or hoods pulled down to keep ash out of their eyes. Occasionally, she passed squads of garrison town guards, walking with full armor, breastplate, cap, and black cloak, trying to look as intimidating as possible. This last group moved through the slums, acting as the Lord Ruler's hands in an area most obligators found too distasteful to visit. The garrisoners kicked at beggars to make certain they were truly invalids, stopped wandering workers to harass them about being on the streets instead of working, and made a general nuisance of themselves. Vin ducked down as a group passed, pulling her hood close. She was old enough that she should have been either bearing children or working in a mill, but her size often made her look younger in profile.
Benefits.
Benefits.
Benefits. Ah, nice. I dig it.
Thank you. Thank you. Any thoughts on these paragraphs?
Just get more reminders of, oh yeah, it's shit. People are literally, the Scar really do have it really crap. They're getting kicked and stuff every day. It makes you look at what they're doing, which is like basically it's looking at ending the empire and all of this. You're like, cool, this is what we're actually working against. So it looks like, yes, we knew it was there, but now we're seeing it, knowing that we're fighting against it in some
Either
way.
the ruse worked, or this particular squad wasn't interested in looking for ditchers, for they let her pass with barely a glance. She ducked around a corner, walking down an ash-drifted alley, and approached the soup kitchen at the end of the small street. Like most of its kind, the kitchen was dingy and poorly maintained. In an economy where workers were rarely, if ever, given direct pay, kitchens had to be supported by the nobility. Some local lords, probably the owners of the mills and forges in the area, paid the kitchen owners to provide food for the local ska. The workers would be given meal tokens for their time and would be allowed a short break at midday to go eat. The central kitchen would allow the smaller businesses to avoid the costs of providing on-site meals. Of course, since the kitchen owner was paid directly, he could pocket whatever he could save on ingredients. In Vin's experience, kitchen food was about as tasty as ash water. I like it. I like this information.
Yes,
I mean,
do
it's
like
sad.
it. Yeah.
It's sad information, but we're getting more insight into how the world works. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting more insight into, listen, people all take advantage of whichever position they're in. So we have the nobility. It's not like the nobility are feeding the Scar because they really care. It's like, okay, well, I need to fuel the masses so that they can continue to do the work. But they're obviously not doing any sort of oversight because they don't care enough. But this technically, this is a Scar kitchen, and they're pocketing money and being corrupt anyway, and that it's not beneficial to the Scar to be pocketing and doing low quality ingredients and things like that. So it's showing the nuances between, just because you're oppressed, it doesn't mean that everything you do is pure. It's actually, yes, the circumstances are driving you towards doing these things. So
well, it's
there
very
is
much
that.
you have to do what you have to survive.
Yes, exactly. But it shows that, oh, wait, they are. This is how far reaching it goes. It turns people into different kinds of people. It turns them into it's kill or be killed sort of situations. It's like, oh well, in my position, I've got this position. Cool, let me make what I can of it. Who gives a crap about the rest of the people? So everyone's out for themselves.
Fortunately, she hadn't come to eat. She joined the line at the front door, waiting quietly as workers presented their meal chips. When her turn came, she pulled out a small wooden disc and passed it to the ska man at the door. He accepted the chip with a smooth motion, nodding almost imperceptibly to his right. Oh, you know what I'm suddenly imagining? Back to the Star Wars stuff, is the cantina scene. All right, this is Vin crossing the threshold into the cantina. No,
The
Vin
cantina is
walked.
the cantina would be, it's too celebratory, it's too good actually. This seems
True.
a lot more dreary.
What I'm getting at though is this
Mm.
feels very much like the crossing of a barrier, which is what the
Mhm.
cantina was supposed to represent. It was
Mm.
Luke's crossing the barrier into the world.
Good comparison then. Don't let me
Eh,
stop you. I just the cantina vibe. I'm like,
Yes.
that's where I went immediately. I'm like, no, but I know what
Fair.
you mean. Okay.
Vin walked in the indicated direction, passing through a filthy dining room, floor scattered with tracked-in ash. As she approached the far wall, she could see a splintery wooden door set in the room's corner. A man seated by the door caught her eyes, nodded slightly, and pushed the door open. Vin passed quickly into the small room beyond. Vin, my dear, Breeze said, lounging at a table near the center of the room. Welcome. How was Felice? Oh, yay, Breeze is back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vin shrugged, taking a seat at the table. Is it weird that I imagined him doing like the cheek kiss, one on each cheek at that?
No, look, I think it would fit if we were putting that in there, but I don't
Yes.
think the way that you're reading him, I would that's how it goes. But I don't think Brandon wrote in that way.
Intended that. Fair.
Yeah.
Vin shrugged, taking a seat at the table. Ah, Breeze said, I'd almost forgotten what a fascinating conversationalist you are.
I love him.
Wine. Vin
You know
shook her
what?
head.
He's so funny. I'm sorry. I'm just I enjoy these interactions. Also, hold on. Do you think right now, quickly, do you think we
Yes.
have the master apprentice of each of the mistings things starting?
I
Or
hope so.
is she just here to like collect something for the plan or whatever?
I so hope that this is going to be Breeze teaching Vin how to recruit people.
Breeze session, yeah. Yeah, I think it should be. I think, like I said, as much as Kelsey was like, meh, it's still going to happen.
Yes, I hope
She's going to
so.
get to see Breeze win. Breeze
See,
win.
again,
Or
because
Breeze work.
I was not convinced by his arguments for why it wasn't a
Yeah.
good idea last chapter.
Mm-hmm. It
So
wasn't a good
I
enough
hope
argument.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope he's relented.
Mm.
Oh man. Vin shook her head. Well, I would certainly like some. Breeze wore one of his extravagant suits, dueling cane resting across his lap. The chamber was only lit by a single lantern, but it was far cleaner than the room outside. Of the 4 other men in the room, Vin recognized only one, an apprentice from Clubbs' shop. The 2 by the door were obviously guards. The last man appeared to be a regular ska worker, complete with blackened jacket and ashen face. His self-confident air, however, proved that he was a member of the underground, probably one of Yeden's rebels. Breeze held up his cup, tapping its side with a fingernail. The rebel regarded it darkly. Right now, Breeze said, you're wondering if I'm using allomancy on you. Perhaps I am. Perhaps I'm not. Does it matter? I'm here by your leader's invitation, and he ordered you to see that I was made comfortable. And I assure you, a cup of wine in my hand is absolutely necessary for my comfort. Oh, that is so Breeze.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. Kind of like asshole Breeze, right?
Yeah. He's
Fart.
making
Asshole Breeze. Fart. There's a joke
I get it. I get it. I get it.
there.
A
Sorry.
lot more
What
than a
were you
breeze.
saying?
No, he it's very Breeze. We know this is in keeping with him, and he's got very high standards for himself, and everybody's got to keep him happy. He's definitely developed in that manner because he's used to getting with what he wants.
The ska man waited for a moment, then snatched the cup and stalked away, grumbling under his breath about foolish costs and wasted resources. Breeze raised an eyebrow, then turned to yeah, I can totally see this man just grumbling under his breath.
Mm-hmm.
That was visceral.
Mm-hmm.
Breeze raised an eyebrow, then turned to Vin. He seemed quite pleased with himself.
Is he ever in any other state?
Right?
So, did you push him?
She asked. Breeze shook his head. Waste of brass. Did Kelsier tell you why he asked you to come here today?
He told me to watch you.
Vin said, a bit annoyed at being handed off to Breeze.
He said he didn't have time to train me in all the metals. There you go. Answer. He relented.
It's happening.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And I appreciate that she feels like she's being handed off to.
Yeah. She would actually prefer Kelsey to be teaching her about it, but so she has feelings about it too. But I'm sure she will learn. She's a very perceptive person. She'll take advantage of any knowledge she gets.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like a jack of all trades, master of none type
Mm,
situation. Like, I imagine Breeze is probably better at pushing and pulling than Kelsier is.
exactly. That's why I wanted her, like you said, I want her to have a full training. I want her to be with the specialized. Like I hope she also watches Ham, that learns some things as well from him.
Yes.
But she definitely needs to. You're learning from the best, so because he's supposed to be the best. So let's see.
And
Good idea.
unironically the best, like
Hmm.
Kelsier and his crew has a reputation for a reason.
Yes.
But it's also understandable that Vin would feel attached to Kelsier.
Yeah. But I think she'll see the benefits of this eventually, but she'll also feel, maybe she feels a bit rejected. She's like, well, what? I'm not
Yeah.
important enough, because I like the psychology of it, that she's just become attached to someone, somebody's caring about her, and then so she's going to be actually quite sensitive and scared of losing any sort of attention from that person, which is very
Yes.
realistic. Mm.
Well,
Well,
Breeze said, then let us begin. First, you must understand that soothing is about more than just allomancy. It's about the delicate and noble art of manipulation,
noble indeed.
Vin said. Ah, you sound like one of them, Breeze said.
Them who?
Them everyone else, Breeze said. You saw how that Scar gentleman treated me. People don't like us, my dear. The idea of someone who can play with their emotions, who can mystically get them to do certain things, makes them uncomfortable. What they do not realize, and what you must realize, is that manipulating others is something that all people do. In fact, manipulation is at the core of our social interaction.
Yes,
That
what?
that's
This is the
totally what
discussion we
we
had. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. It is exact. This is that line where it's saying like, oh, what, he's just using allomancy. That's the difference. We just have to use more steps. He's making it more easy. We are always manipulating each other and figuring out each other's intentions and trying to figure out how to benefit each other, how somebody feels, and how can we make them feel a certain way. This is now just using allomancy, so it just seems like an unfair advantage. I love that we're getting into the moral ground of this, and
Yes.
he's got a certain perception of that he is, he argues with Ham about it and things like that. So I'm loving that we're
Right.
getting an actual layout of his beliefs about this.
Yeah.
Ew.
And I'm getting flashbacks to your wonderful point all those chapters ago about the differences between getting a person to pour you a glass of wine versus,
Mm.
say, calming everyone in a crowded and dangerous situation like a building fire.
Yeah.
Like, one of
There's
those situations reads as much more moral
hmm
than the
yes.
other.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. We have to look at what each thing is, and he's just like, oh, but the manipulation itself. Let's see. Yeah, I love this.
He settled back, raising his dueling cane and gesturing with it slightly as he spoke. Think about it. What is a man doing when he seeks the affection of a young lady? Why,
Here
he
we
is
go.
trying. And that was my
It's your
example, buying a
example.
drink in a bar.
Yeah.
What is a man doing when he seeks the affection of a young lady? Why, he is trying to manipulate her to regard him favorably. What happens when two old friends sit down for a drink? They tell stories, trying to impress each other. Life as a human being is about posturing and influence. This isn't a bad thing, in fact, we depend on it. These interactions teach us how to respond to others. This also makes
Mm.
me think of Kelsier's first lesson,
Mm-hmm.
or not, maybe not his first lesson, but one of his early lessons about not morals, about philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
about this is who you are, and the push and the pull, when he was teaching about like the weights and using.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that
Yeah.
part?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have like an eidetic memory, so I don't recall the specific conversation, but I remember that a conversation happened that I'm getting vibes here from.
So what, like you need to embrace this part of yourself, because you
Ye-
spoke about this is who you are, but are you talking about like pushing against something that is you have to pick your battles sort of thing, where you because the pushing and pulling lessons were about whether you push something that's
Let's see,
bigger
I
than
think
you and all of that.
it was
Are you
the
taking it that far?
conversation. It was the conversation right before she leapt up to the building, the wall.
Mm-hmm.
One moment, let me see if I can find it. This is a flashback to a previous chapter. More a philosophy, Kelsier said. It has to do with consequences. What do you mean? Every action we take has consequences. I found that in both allomancy and life, the person who can best judge the consequences of their actions will be the most successful. Take burning pewter, for instance. What are its consequences? You get stronger, pewter runs out. So it's there's just something, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It all
I like
fits
that.
in my mind.
It does. You're not just grasping there. Not that you ever do, but I'm just saying. I agreed.
My dear, I do nothing but grasp. I don't know what that meant. It just felt...
I thought you were reading Breeze. I'm like, oh, okay.
No.
Like, okay, let's continue.
I'm always... The point of that was I'm always grasping at straws.
No, you're not.
Anything else to say, Kitty, before I confused you?
No, I'm not confused. I'm enjoying it. Let's go. I just want more. Let's see how far they're probably going to give us. Considering the way this is going, our conversation is quite relevant.
Cool.
They're going to give us even more.
Yes. These interactions teach us how to respond to each other. He pointed at Vin with the cane. The difference between soothers and ordinary people is that we are aware of what we are doing. We also have a slight advantage, but is it really that more powerful than having a charismatic personality or a fine set of teeth? I think not. Vin frowned. Besides, Breeze added, as I mentioned, a good soother must be skilled far beyond his ability to use allomancy. Allomancy can't let you read minds or emotions in a way. You're as blind as anyone else. You fire off pulses of emotions targeted at a single person or in an area, and your subjects will have their emotions altered, hopefully producing the effect that you wished. However, great soothers are those who can successfully use their eyes and instincts to know how a person is feeling before they get soothed.
Ooh, I think Vin's going to be good at that. That Vin is good with that.
Because she's so insightful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just automatically is always trying. Look, it's kind of like a superpower that she's been imbued with because of her trauma. Great.
Yep.
That she's constantly developed an instinct to figuring out what everybody's thinking because she's always trying to protect herself. So she already has an instinct for that. And there's been evidence of that. There's no Mary suing over here. There's no like she just all of a sudden now she's perceptive. No, we've seen what she has to work with.
She has good reason. She has it built into her story.
So she's going to build on this. So any skill that she has here, okay, first of all, we do know that there is some specialness about her allomancy, but her skill with allomancy, but we do know that building on skills that she already had is this is what's she's going to actually I can see her excelling in this already. So she's just learning how to use this advantage that she has, because she's been doing all of the manipulation without the allomancy. I think she's going to be really good, and that is fine. See, look, we don't hate women. Okay.
No, we like them very much.
There you go. Oh, that's me. What does it matter? What does it matter how they're feeling?
Vin said, trying to cover her annoyance.
You're just going to soothe them anyway, right? So when you're done, they'll feel how you want them to.
Breeze sighed, shaking his head. What would you say if you knew I'd soothed you on 3 separate occasions during our conversation? Vin scowled.
When?
She demanded. Oh, I kind of want to go back and look for all of the moments where she expressed a thought about a feeling. Does it matter? Breeze asked. This is the lesson you must learn, my dear. If you can't read how someone is feeling, then you'll never have a subtle touch with emotional allomancy. Push someone too hard, and even the most blind of Ska will realize that they're being manipulated somehow. Touch too softly, and you won't produce a noticeable effect. Other, more powerful emotions will still rule your subject. Breeze shook his head again. It's all about understanding people, he continued. You have to read how someone is feeling, change that feeling by nudging it in the proper direction, then channel their newfound emotional state to your advantage. That, my dear, is the challenge in what we do. It is difficult, but for those who can do it well. The door opened, and the sullen Ska man returned, bearing an entire bottle of wine. He put it and a cup on the table before Breeze, then went over to stand on the other side of the room, beside peepholes looking into the dining room. There are vast rewards, Breeze said with a quiet smile. He winked at her, then poured some wine. Vin wasn't certain what to think. Breeze's opinion seemed cruel, yet Reen had trained her well. If she didn't have power over this thing, others would gain power over her through it. That's a cool line. She started burning copper, as Kelsier had taught her, to shield herself from further manipulations on Breeze's parts.
Mm-hmm.
Hot take, I don't think she should be burning copper if she really wants to learn from Breeze. I think she needs to be willing
feel it.
to,
Yeah.
to learn how to feel being affected.
Yeah, she should
I
learn
mean,
from
I
it. Yeah, I
go
know
on.
what you mean. I think she might need to, to experience it. That would help her. It would make it easier to learn.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
And
But
I
of
get
course she's,
why.
yeah,
Like, she's
exactly. That's what I'm.
traumatized.
Yeah, exactly. She's always thinking about, whoa, I need to be safe. So it is a trust thing, and she also wants control. She has very little control in her life, or has not had much control at all. So anything that makes her feel like she's out of control, or like that
Yeah.
there's unexpected things, she's going to resist. So that there, you see, there's a challenge to her learning. She's not just, oh, I know everything. She's actually going to. So we know that she has, there's good skills there that she can totally develop. But we can see, look, he has a challenge. This is how people. It's very realistic as well. This is how people get in their own way.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. The door opened again, and a familiar vest-wearing form tropped in. Hey, Vin, Ham said with a friendly wave. He walked over to the table, eyeing the wine. Breeze, you know that the rebellion doesn't have the money for that kind of thing. Kelsier will reimburse them, Breeze said with a dismissive wave. I simply cannot work with a dry throat. How is the area? Secure, Ham said, but I've got tin eyes on the corners in case. Your bolt exit is behind that hatch in the corner. Breeze nodded and Ham turned, looking at Clubs' apprentice. You smoking back there, Cobble? Had to take a moment to realize that was Ham and not Breeze. The boy nodded. Good lad, Ham said. That's everything then. Now we just have to wait for Kel's speech. Ooh, that's cool. Kel's gonna make a speech? Neat.
He's gonna use
Breeze.
charisma.
Yes. Ooh, is he gonna like convince a mass of people to go to the caves? That would be
We need
cool.
to see, how they've been recruiting people. This is
Yes.
whether or not maybe Breeze has been doing some groundwork, but now this might be like the last bit. So yes, because we need to know.
Cool.
This is showing us, not telling us.
Breeze checked his pocket watch. He's not scheduled for another few minutes. Shall I have someone fetch you a cup? I'll pass, Ham said. Breeze shrugged, sipping his wine. There was a moment of silence. Finally, Ham spoke. So, no, Breeze interrupted. But whatever it is, we don't want to hear about it. What?
Yeah, and also this is Breeze. See, this is Breeze being able to read a person. He knows Ham, so he knows what he got. Kind of, it's like he knows what Ham's thinking and what Ham's going to bring up. I love this interaction.
Yes. Ham gave the soother a flat stare. You can't push me into complacence, Breeze. Breeze rolled his eyes, taking a drink.
What?
Vin asked.
What were you going to say?
Don't encourage him, my dear, Breeze said. Vin frowned. She glanced at Ham, who smiled. Breeze sighed. Leave me out of it. I'm not in the mood for one of Ham's inane debates. Ignore him, Ham said eagerly, pulling his chair a little bit closer to Vin. I like this, Ham. This is like excited Ham. Neat. So I've been wondering, by overthrowing the final empire, are we doing something good or are we doing something bad?
Oh, I
Vin
love
hesitated.
him.
That's so... Oh, I love
the
this.
philosopher. The philosopher, and Breeze is just like, oh, I don't really want to talk about this. This is my kind of guy.
Yes. Vin hesitated.
Does it matter?
Ham looked taken aback, but Breeze chuckled. Well answered, the soother said. Ham glared at Breeze, then turned back to Vin. Of course it matters,
Well,
Vin said.
I guess we're doing something good. The final empire has oppressed Scar for centuries.
Right, Ham said. But there's a problem. The Lord Ruler is God, right? Vin shrugged.
Does it matter?
Ham glared at her. Ah, I can so see these faces. These glares. She rolled her eyes.
All right. The ministry claims that he is God. I think that was him.
No, that was her.
Oh, was it? She
That's
rolled her eyes.
definitely her.
Yeah. All right. The ministry claims that he is God.
Actually, Breeze noted, the Lord Ruler is only a piece of God. He is the sliver of infinity, not omniscient or omnipresent, but an independent section of a consciousness that is. Ham sighed.
So
Interesting.
we're learning the law. We're learning a little bit more about what they mean. We've heard sliver of the infinity. This is okay. It's a little bit about little Christ-like. Not it's are they kind of trying to say that it's like?
I am Jewish, so I'm not going to
Christ-
pretend to know the full amount of Christianity, but I do know that there is that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost are like three different things, but also they're all God.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm referring to here. That's what I'm hearing here. Yeah, there's some sort of a section of consciousness, independent section. There's independence of these three entities. Yeah. Anyway, I'm seeing the parallels between this and this fictional religion and worldly religion. I suppose our worldly religion.
Interesting and neat. And I sort of gathered something akin to this from previous chapters. I don't think we've ever actually discussed it deeply.
Yeah,
but we
just
have
never focused on it.
Yeah. But we have heard the phrase sliver of infinity. We've we've
I just
heard
never put that together. Which is dumb.
Yeah, but I think like some have referred to him as God, and I think there was a time where he was referred to as a piece of God. So but here it's finally like we're here acknowledging it, which is good.
Yes, we needed it because some of us were thinking about other things.
Yes. Ham sighed. I thought you didn't want to be involved. Just making certain everyone has their facts correct, Breeze said lightly. Anyway, Ham said, God is the creator of all things, right? He is the force that dictates the laws of the universe and is therefore the ultimate source of ethics. He is absolute morality. Vin blinked. You see the dilemma? Ham asked. I see an idiot, Breeze mumbled. Oh. How long have you been drinking that wine for? How fast are you going through it? You're so mean.
He's taking no, that's just him. He's just having a go. I love their dynamic. I'm confused.
Me too. Vin said.
What's the problem?
We claim to be doing good, Ham said, but the Lord Ruler, as God, defines what is good. So by opposing him, we're actually evil. But since he's doing the wrong thing, does evil actually count as good in this case? And this is what we've been asking. I think, was it last chapter or the chapter before? about Epigraph Man and is the Lord Ruler good?
Depends where you stand. Yeah.
I think we need more information on the deepness and what transpired before we can know for certain.
Yeah.
Vin frowned. Well? Ham asked.
I think you gave me a headache.
Vin said. I warned you, Breeze noted. Ham sighed. But don't you think it's worth thinking about?
I'm not sure.
I am, Breeze said. Ham shook his head. No one around here likes to have decent, intelligent discussions. The Ska rebel in the corner suddenly perked up. Kelsier's here. What?
He's interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, when you're acting, sometimes you just have to make a choice and go with it.
I love that. That's great. Now you have to stick with him if he says anything else.
Yeah. Oi. Because all of my voices thus far have been so consistent.
Yes, they actually have.
Ham raised an eyebrow and stood. I should go watch the perimeter. Think about that question, Vin.
All right.
Vin said as Ham left. Over here, Vin, Breeze said, rising. There are peepholes on the wall for us. Be a dear and bring my chair over, would you? Breeze didn't look back to see if she did as requested. She paused, uncertain. With her copper on, he couldn't soothe her, but eventually, she sighed and carried both chairs over to the side of the room. Breeze slid back a long, thin slat in the wall, revealing a view of the dining room. A group of dirtied...
Hold on, I'm just saying.
Aha!
So, she's got the copper on. Okay, maybe... So he shouldn't be able to soothe her. But you see that now she's realizing how much people manipulate each other or make requests of each other without adamancy. She's asked... You do ask people to do things. You don't need to soothe people into doing things all the time.
Look, Vin indulged Ham in his philosophy, and I'm sure that endeared Vin to Ham. Therefore, Vin manipulated Ham.
There you go. Although I don't think she did it on purpose. So then it's not manipulation.
Or at least that wasn't necessarily her intention. Or she
it wasn't her
think
intention.
Of it as manipulation, yeah. But
So
that's the thing. Breeze obviously does.
Yeah, we could. It depends. We can interpret it and decide. Yes, Vin is a character in Wheel of Time. Vin is Vin is manipulating him because of reasons. Like we can just attribute that. It depends on who you are. Haha! I love this. It's great.
A group of dirtied Ska men sat around tables wearing brown work coats or ragged cloaks. They were a dark group with ash-stained skin and slumped postures. However, their presence at the meeting meant that they were willing to listen. Yedden sat at a table near the front of the room, wearing his usual patched worker's coat, his curly hair cut short during Vin's absence. Vin had expected some kind of grand entrance from Kelsier. Instead, he simply walked quietly out of the kitchen. That's unique.
I would expect
him.
a grand. Yeah, like every time he walks into a room, there's a grand. It feels like he saunters in and whatever. No, he's just walking in. Okay.
And like my immediate thought is, oh shit, something serious must be going on. But like, what could have been more serious than the first convincing of the crew to stop the Lord Ruler? So that can't be what this meeting's going to be about.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, that's where my mind just went when.
Ooh, okay. The manipulation is happening. See.
Okay. No, I haven't read further. I'm just
no.
Breeze is behind the peephole and he's totally going to be doing manipulation while Kelsier talks.
But I'm saying that there's contextual things that they've put upon him. The way that he's not going to. Well, there's things that maybe that he's doing from the beginning. Like you don't need to do the grand entrance and whatever. There's a strategy behind everything here.
Gotcha. Okay. Instead, he simply walked quietly out of the kitchen. He stopped by Yedden's table, smiling and speaking softly with the man for a moment, then he stepped up before the seated workers. Vin had never seen him in such mundane clothing before. He wore a brown Ska coat and tan trousers. like many of the audience, but Kelsier's outfit was clean. No soot stained the cloth, and while it was of the same rough material that Ska commonly used, it bore no patches or tears. The difference was stark enough, Vin decided. If he'd come in a suit, it would have been too much. He
See,
put his arm...
manipulation. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're right.
Look
This is why I keep
the
you
pushing
around.
and pulling. Yeah.
Yes. No, everything is a manipulation. He put his arms behind his back, and slowly the crowd of workers stilled. Vin frowned, watching through the peep slit, wondering at Kelsier's ability to hush a room of hungry men by doing nothing more than standing before them. Was he using allomancy, perhaps? Yet even with her copper on, she felt a presence from him. That's his charisma.
Yeah.
But
so
I do...
what Breed was talking about does come into play here. You see, we're always working on each other.
I do have to wonder what happens if more than one person tries to push someone. Like, what if little Timmy is in the playground and mommy is pushing on him and daddy's pulling on him, and then the brother and then his like two cousins are pushing on little Timmy. Like,
it becomes
what
an emotional mess.
what happens? I bet Brandon Sanderson will address that at some point.
He will. Yeah.
That's like totally, I think, in line with how he's been writing.
Yeah, what happens to the metals if that happens? We saw that the metal, the coin got folded. So that would happen to your mind.
Mind folded. Oh no. Vin frowned, watching through the peep slit, wondering at Kelsier's ability to hush a room of hungry men by doing nothing more than standing before them. Was he using allomancy, perhaps? Yet even with her copper on, she felt a presence from him. Once the room fell quiet, Kelsier began to speak. "You've probably all heard of me by now," he said, "and you wouldn't be here if you weren't at least a little bit sympathetic to my cause." Beside Vin, Breeze sipped his drink. "Soothing and rioting aren't like other kinds of allomancy," he said softly. "With most metals, pushing and pulling have opposite effects. With emotions, however, you can often produce the same result regardless of whether you soothe or riot. This doesn't... Interesting. This doesn't hold for extreme emotional states, complete emotionlessness, or utter passion, but in most cases it doesn't matter which power you use. People are not like solid bricks of metal at any given time. They will have a dozen different emotions churning within them. An experienced soother can dampen everything but the emotion he wants to remain dominant." Breeze,
I like the layers. Yes, there aren't. Yeah. So yes, as much as the metaphor of the folding coin, it still holds, but it's a lot more complex than that. You're not just there's things that make up a person's emotions. So, but yeah, I maintain that shit would still go down.
I agree. I'm gonna have to like reread this chapter after to like feel like I'm fully absorbing the depth of what these lessons are. But for the time being, we'll keep moving forward. Breeze turned slightly. "Rudd, send in the blue server, please." One of the guards nodded, cracking the door and whispering something to the man outside. A moment later, Vin saw a serving girl wearing a faded blue dress move through the crowd, filling drinks. Manipulation! This is getting them comfortable. This is getting them in a mood to be manipulated. This is like when Vin said, "Hey, your servants, they need to be
very good." Yes. And also, just going back to that, making me think of what Kelsier is wearing. So he stands out, but not too much. He's still a Scar in terms of the way he's dressed. But like she said, if he wore a suit, it would have been too much. She doesn't even realize she's thinking like Breeze would think.
Yes.
So it's very good.
"My soothers are mixed with the crowd," Breeze said, his voice growing distracted. "The serving girls are a sign telling my men which emotions to soothe away. They will bring their own effort to bear, as I do," he trailed off, concentrating as he looked into the crowd. "Fatigue," he whispered. "That's not a necessary emotion right now. Hunger, distracting. Suspicion, definitely not helpful. Yes, and as the soothers work, the rioters inflame the emotions we want the crowd to be feeling.
So
Curiosity.
cool.
That's what they need now. Yes, listen to Kelsier. You've heard legends and stories. See the man for yourself and be impressed. That's
This
a
is so
neat.
cool. I'm loving
Yeah,
this.
that is a really neat side of Breeze that we haven't seen
Hmm.
before. That is serious Breeze. That is Breeze
Yeah,
working.
he's understanding people. You kind of take him as easy breezy. He's on top of everything, but and arrogant and whatever. But that doesn't mean he has no empathy. He doesn't understand emotions. Now you see that part of his work. Oh, such a good. This is so good.
Yeah, this is really well done.
And yeah,
Uh,
it's yes, it's away from the action of the pushing and pulling to fly, basically, but it's the same power we're dealing with here. There's so many subtleties. You have to know when to use this power. So I love this magic system. This is cool.
yes. I know why you came today, Kelsier said quietly. He spoke without much of the flamboyance Vin associated with the man, his tone subdued but direct. 12-hour days in a mill, mine, or forge. Beatings, lack of pay, poor food. And for what? So that you can return to your tenements at the day's end to find another tragedy? A friend slain by an uncaring taskmaster? A daughter taken to be some nobleman's plaything? A brother dead at the hand of a passing lord who was having an unpleasant day? Yes, Breeze whispered. Good red rod, send in the girl in light red. Another serving girl entered the room. Passion and anger, Breeze said, his voice almost a mumble, but just a bit, just a nudge, a reminder. I love how this is weaving in and out from Kelsier to Breeze.
Oh, here, yes,
This,
this is great. And also here we go. Vin is going to extinguish your copper.
yes. Curious, Vin extinguished her copper for a moment, burning bronze instead, trying to sense Breeze's use of allomancy. No pulses came from him. Of oh, this is you,
Of course.
she thought.
I forgot about Clubs' apprentice. He'd keep me from sensing any allomantic pulses.
She turned her copper back on. Kelsier
Oh.
continued to speak. Yeah, no, that wasn't for her to feel the manipulation, but to like watch him do it,
Mm.
um, which is fine.
I wanted that, but I do now. I just didn't consider. Yeah, duh. Uh, we can't just have you have these pulses go out and people notice. So we do need the smoker. Interesting.
Kelsier continued to speak. My friends, you're not alone in your tragedy. There are millions exactly like you, and they need you. I've not come to beg. We've had enough of that in our lives. I simply ask you to think. Where would you rather your energy be spent? On forging the Lord Ruler's weapons? Or on something more valuable?
He's not mentioning our troops,
Vin thought.
or even what those who join with him are going to do. He doesn't want the workers to know the details. Probably a good idea. Those he recruits can be sent to the army, and the rest won't be able to give away specific information. Perception! Woohoo! That's totally in the
Yes.
book. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You know why I am here, Kelsier said. You know my friend, Yedden, and what he represents. Every Ska in the city knows about the rebellion. Perhaps you've considered joining it. Most of you will not. Most of you will go back to your soot-stained mills, to your burning forges, to your dying homes. You'll go because this terrible life is familiar. But some of you will come with me. And those are the men who will be remembered in the years to come. Remembered for having done something grand. Many of the workers shared glances, though some just stared at their half-empty soup bowls. Finally, someone near the back of the room spoke. You're a fool, the man said. The Lord Ruler will kill you. You don't rebel against God in his own city. The room fell silent, tense. Vin sat up as Breeze whispered to himself. In the room, Kelsier stood quietly for a moment. Then he reached up and pulled back the sleeves on his jacket, revealing the crisscrossed scars on his arms. The Lord Ruler is not our God, he said softly, and he cannot kill me. He tried, but he failed. For I am the thing that he can never kill. With that, Kelsier turned, walking from the room the way he had come. That's got to be showmanship, right?
Yeah.
Like the Lord Ruler can kill him. It's just that Kelsier's like a step ahead, right?
Mm-hmm. And the
That
thing, he symbolizes something that cannot be killed. So
yeah.
he had to show that to remind them that he's a survivor. He's something different. He's not just Jeden trying to
Yeah.
trying to lead you.
Yeah. With that, Kelsier turned, walking from the room the way he had come. Breeze said. Well, that was a little dramatic. Rudd, bring back the red and send out the brown. A serving woman in brown walked into the crowd. Amazement, Breeze said, and yes, pride. Soothe the anger for now. The crowd sat quietly for a moment. The dining room, this is like, he's like a conductor.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, that, I like that imagery. He's like a
Mm.
conductor playing the crowd. The crowd sat quietly for a moment, the dining room eerily motionless. Finally, Jeden stood up to speak and give some further encouragement, as well as an explanation of what the men should do, should they wish to hear more. As he talked, the men returned to their meals. Green, Rudd, Breeze said. Yes. Let's make you all thoughtful and give you a nudge of loyalty. We wouldn't want anyone to run to the obligators, would we? Kells covered his tracks quite well, but the less the authorities hear, the better, eh? Oh, and what about you, Jeden? You're a bit too nervous. Let's soothe that. Take away your worries. Leave only that passion of yours. Hopefully it will be enough to cover up that stupid tone in your voice.
I love it.
Yeah, he's such a dick, but he's like a likable dick.
He knows stuff. He just knows people.
Yep, he's so blunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Vin continued to watch. Now that Kelsier had gone, she found it easier to focus on the crowd's reactions and on Breeze's work. As Jeden spoke, the workers outside seemed to react exactly according to Breeze's mumbled instructions. Jeden, too, showed effects of the soothing. He grew more comfortable, his voice more confident as he spoke. Curious, Vin let her copper drop again. She concentrated, seeing if she could sense Breeze's touch on her emotions. She would be included in his general allomantic projections. He didn't have time to pick and choose individuals, except maybe Jeden. It was very, very difficult to sense. Yet as Breeze sat mumbling to himself, she began to feel the exact emotions he described. Vin couldn't
Woohoo!
help. Yes,
I
she's
love the way
doing
this
it.
is happening. Yes.
Yes,
She's learning.
she's
Mm.
smart enough to know that she needs to let herself be a little manipulated to know what it feels like.
Yes.
I'm so
love it.
glad.
But I love that it didn't happen immediately, Oh, it's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Vin couldn't help but be impressed. The few times that Kelsier had used allomancy on her emotions, his touch has been like a sudden, blunt punch to the face. He had strength, but precious little subtlety. Breeze's touch was incredibly delicate. He soothed certain emotions, dampening them while leaving others unaffected. Vin thought she could sense his men rioting on her emotions too, but these touches weren't nearly as subtle as Breeze's. She left her copper off, watching for touches on her emotions as Jeden continued his speech. He explained that the men who joined with them would have to leave family and friends for a time, as long as a year, but would be fed well during that time. Vin felt her respect for Breeze continue to rise. Quick question, why not get families to go? I mean,
Mm.
sure there are dangers, but
Well,
seems
wouldn't it be more visible then?
yeah, I suppose.
It
Like
would
if
be
whole
more,
families up and
yeah,
disappeared.
whole ass families, yeah.
Vin felt her respect for Breeze continue to rise. Oh, I wonder if that's the emotion.
But does it matter? Hmm.
Suddenly she didn't feel so annoyed with Kelsier for handing her off. Breeze could only
Yay.
do one thing, but he obviously had a great deal of I can't. It has to be Breeze, right?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Suddenly she didn't feel so annoyed with Kelsier for handing. No, it has to be because she wasn't
Okay.
feeling this until right after she dropped her
I don't
like
know. Well, yeah, but I feel like she would feel this anyway. She would get to these feelings anyway.
yeah. I
That's what I'm thinking.
mm,
You can think differently. It's
mm,
okay.
yeah, okay. Okay. I want an answer. I want to
Yeah,
know.
we'll get there. Let's see.
Okay, yes. Vin felt her respect for Breeze continue to rise. Suddenly, she didn't feel so annoyed with Kelsier for handing her off. Breeze could only do one thing, but he obviously had a great deal of practice at it. Kelsier, as a Mistborn, had to learn all of the Allomantic skills. It made sense that he wouldn't be as focused in any one power.
I need to make certain that he sends me to learn from the others.
Vin thought.
They'll be masters at their own powers.
Vin turned her attention back to the dining room as Yedden wrapped up. You heard Kelsier, the survivor of Hathsin, he said. The rumors about him are true. He's given up his thieving ways and turned his considerable attention toward working for the Ska Rebellion. Men, we are preparing for something grand. Something that may indeed end up being our last struggle against the final empire. Join with us. Join with your brothers. Join with the survivor himself. The dining room fell silent. Bright red, Breeze said. I want those men. Bright red, Breeze said. I want those men to leave feeling passionate about what they've heard.
The emotions will fade, won't they?
Vin said as a red-clothed serving girl entered the crowd. Yes, Breeze said, sitting back and sliding the panel closed. But memories stay. If people associate strong emotions with an event, they'll remember it better. A few moments later, Ham entered through the back door. That went well. The men are leaving invigorated, and a number of them are staying behind. We'll have a good set of volunteers to send off to the caves. Breeze shook his head. It's not enough. Docs takes a few days to organize each of these meetings, and we only get about 20 men from each one. At this rate, we'll never hit 10,000 in time. You think we need more meetings? Ham asked. That's going to be tough. We have to be very careful with these things, so only those who can be reasonably trusted are invited. Breeze sat for a moment, then he downed the rest of his wine. I don't know, but we'll have to think of something. For now, let's return to the shop. I believe Kelsier wishes to hold a progress meeting this evening. And that ends a POV. That ends a POV. So let's take a quick, I suppose, break and recap. That was fun. That was enjoyable.
That was interesting to see it go.
Yeah.
The reason so we didn't really get too much of a understanding of whether it was Breeze working on her, but I just don't think Breeze would. But okay, so it coincides with like his work being done basically. So it could be that he would change his focus to her, but also I just don't think he would bother trying to manipulate her to see a certain thing a certain way. It doesn't serve him really. I don't know. I just don't feel like. I guess everything serves him. He does everything for himself, but I just don't think he would put that effort in.
I think Brandon Sanderson did it intentionally vague so that we can wonder.
And also we can wonder about the morality of it, because like I said, I think she would have these emotions.
Yeah. Look,
anyway.
I mean, I don't think Breeze can force those thoughts on her if she wasn't already receptive to feeling them.
Exactly.
So who knows?
But also, yeah, I like that we're getting insight into how the things work, because she's like, okay, well, yeah, you've made them feel a certain way now what happens? Like, it's like, how do you keep this manipulation going? It's like, well, no, I've just given them certain experiences, so yeah, I'm not it's not as mind controlly as you would expect or you would think. It's just a certain experience. He's working with what's already there.
Yes. Oh man.
And
go on.
Progress meeting, we'll get a bit more of a idea of how things have gone. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's continue, shall we?
You ready?
As I'll ever be.
Let's go.
Kelsier looked to the west. The afternoon sun was a poisonous red, shining angrily through a sky of smoke. Right below the sun, Kelsier could see the silhouetted tip of a dark peak. Tyrion, closest of the ash mounts. He stood atop Clubs's flat-roofed shop, listening to workers returning home on the streets below. A flat roof meant having to shovel off ash occasionally, which was why most Ska buildings were peaked. But in Kelsier's opinion, the view was often worth a bit of trouble. Well, yeah, to Kelsier, but I don't think the Ska have, the luxury of being able to sit and observe the view.
Yeah, great view. Yeah, that's like
and
no.
yeah, and we've got the name of one of the ash mounts. That's neat.
I'll be interested to see if it's Tyrian or Tyrian.
Yeah, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Below him, the Ska workers trudged in despondent ranks, their passing kicking up a small cloud of ash. Kelsier turned away from them, looking toward the northern horizon, toward the pits of Hathsin. Where does it go? He thought. The Adium reaches the city, but then disappears. It isn't the ministry. We've watched them, and no Ska hands touch the metal. We assume it goes into the treasury. We hope it does, at least. Okay, my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
The Atium is used to stop the deepness in perpetuity.
Ah, yes. I was thinking that this is not done. There is a possibility that this empire has to continue because it's not like the fight is over. It's actually, yes, I'm with you on that. I did think that was a possibility, and this is hinting at that.
Yes. But we'll see. We'll see. While burning Atium, a Mistborn was virtually unstoppable, which was part of why it was so valuable. But his plan was about more than wealth. He knew how much Atium was harvested at the pits, and Doxon had researched the amounts that the Lord Ruler doled out, at exorbitant prices, to the nobility. Barely a tenth of what was mined eventually found its way into noble hands. 90% of the Atium produced in the world had been stockpiled. Year after year for 1,000 years with that much of the metal, Kelsier's team could intimidate even the most powerful of the noble houses. Yedin's plan to hold the palace probably seemed futile to many. Indeed, on its own, it was doomed to fail. However, Kelsier's other plans... Kelsier glanced down at the small whitish bar in his hand. The 11th metal. He knew the rumors about it. He'd started them. Now he just had to make good on them.
Oof.
That's
He
cool.
started them. Well, what he doesn't know what this does? He started
Apparently not.
Okay.
So he has less than a year to figure it out. Okay. He sighed, turning eyes east toward Kredik Shah, the Lord Ruler's palace. The name was Terrace. It meant the Hill of 1,000 Spires. Appropriate, since the imperial palace resembled a patch of enormous black spears thrusting into the ground. Some of the spires twisted, others were straight, some were thick towers, others were thin and needle-like. They varied in height, but each one was tall, and each one ended in a point. Kredik Shah. That's where it had ended 3 years before, and he needed to go back. Ooh, unfinished business. This is Batman. Yeah?
Yeah.
The trapdoor opened and a figure climbed onto the roof. Kelsier turned with a raised eyebrow as Sazed brushed off his robe, then approached in his characteristically respectful posture. Even a rebellious terraceman maintained the form of his training. Mr. Kelsier, Sazed said with a bow. Kelsier nodded, and Sazed stepped up beside him, looking toward the imperial palace. Ah, he said to himself, as if understanding Kelsier's thoughts. Kelsier smiled. Sazed had been a valued find indeed. Keepers were necessarily secretive, for the Lord Ruler had hunted them practically since the day of Ascension. Some legends claimed that the ruler's complete subjugation of the Terrace people, including the breeding and stewardship programs, was simply an outgrowth of his hatred for keepers. I have to go back and reread that sentence. That including the breeding and stewardship programs.
Hold on, wait. Valuable secret. Some legends claim that the ruler's complete subjugation of the territory, including the breeding and stewardship. Yeah, okay, that's a thing.
Yeah,
Ew.
that's a big thing.
Yes. Just whole ass eugenics and okay.
Wow. Was simply an outgrowth of his hatred for keepers. There's no way it's just an outgrowth of his hatred for them. There's something, right? There's something more there.
And also keepers. I wonder what is there something.
The keepers are
Yeah, I know
the
what the
religious.
keepers are. Yeah, but I'm like, do they have a certain skill? Is there something about the way they are that makes them keepers?
I
Anyway,
don't know.
you
Could
don't agree. I
anyone be?
can hear that you don't
No,
agree, but it's
no,
okay.
I said I don't know. Um, it it could be like a memory thing, like they have a specialized memory that allows
Ability.
them to.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is there an ability or something? Because why
Well,
does he
fine.
need to breed in a certain way?
Well, I mean, the breeding thing is also connected to the ska and the nobleman. If only the nobleman can do allomancy, and
Mm.
if the ska can't, and like half breeds can, there's some genetics going on here
Mm-hmm.
at play. Clearly, that's
It's crazy. Let's go.
okay, yeah. I wonder what he would think if he knew a keeper was in Luthadel, Kelsier said, barely a short walk from the palace. Let us hope we never find out, Master Kelsier, Sazed said. I appreciate your willingness to come here to the city, Saz. I know it's a risk. This is a good work, Sazed said, and this plan is dangerous for all involved. Indeed, simply living is dangerous for me, I think. It is not healthy to belong to a sect that the Lord Ruler fears. Fears? Kelsier asked, turning to look up at Sazed. Despite Kelsier's above-average height, the terraceman was still a good head taller. I'm not sure if he fears anything, Saz. He fears the keepers, Sazed said. Definitely and inexplicably. Perhaps it is because of our powers. We are not
Ah!
allomancers. Yes, we are not allomancers, but something else. Something unknown to him. Kelsier nodded. Yeah, you called it. You called it.
Wee! I don't know what it is. They're still unknown. We still don't know what they are, but okay. There's something.
Yes.
There's something.
Kelsier nodded, turning back toward the city. He had so many plans, so much work to do. And at the core of it all were the Ska, the poor, humble, defeated Ska. Tell me about another one, Saz, Kelsier said. One with power. Power? Saz had asked. That is a relative term when applied to religion, I think. Perhaps you would like to hear of Jaiism. Its followers were particularly faithful and devout. Tell me about them. Jaiism was founded by a single man, Saz had said. His true name is lost, though his followers simply call him the Jah. He was murdered by a local king for preaching discord, something he was apparently very good at, but that only made his followers larger. The Jahists thought that they earned happiness proportional to their overt devotion, and were known for frequent and fervent professions of faith. Apparently, speaking with a Jahist could be frustrating since they tended to end nearly every sentence with, "Praise the Jah." That's nice, Saz, Kelsier said, but power is more than just words. Oh, indeed, Sazed agreed. The Jahists were strong in their faith. Legends say that the ministry had to wipe them out completely, since not one Jahist would accept the Lord Ruler as God. They didn't last long past the Ascension, but only because they were so blatant that they were easy to hunt down and kill. Kelsier nodded, then he smiled, eyeing Sazed. You didn't ask me if I wanted to convert. My apologies, Master Kelsier, Sazed said, but the religion does not suit you, I think. It has a level of brashness that you might find appealing, but you would find the theology simplistic. You're getting to know me too well, Kelsier said, still regarding the city. In the end, after kingdoms and armies had fallen, the religions were still fighting, weren't they? I love Kelsier's interest in the past. This has been building up, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's not thoughtless. He does have a lot of he does consider a lot of things.
Yes. Indeed, Sazed said. Some of the more resilient religions lasted all the way until the 5th century. What made them so strong? Kelsier said. How did they do it, Saz? What gave these theologies such power over people? It wasn't any one thing, I think, Sazed said. Some were strong through honest faith. Others because of the hopes they promised. Others were coercive. But they all had passion. Kelsier said. Yes, Master Kelsier, Sazed said with a nod. That is a quite true statement. And that's what we've lost, Kelsier said, looking over the city with its hundreds of thousands, barely a handful of whom would dare fight. They don't have faith in the Lord Ruler. They simply fear him. They don't have anything left to believe in. What do you believe in, if I may ask, Master Kelsier? Kelsier shook his head. I'm not exactly sure yet, he admitted, but overthrowing the final empire seems like a good start. Are there any religions on your list that include the slaughter of noblemen as a holy duty? Sazed frowned disapprovingly. I do not believe so, Master Kelsier. Very much a Kelsier thing to ask.
Mm-hmm.
A dark Kelsier thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should found one, Kelsier said with an idle smile. Anyway, have Breeze and Vin returned yet? They arrived right before I came up here. Good, Kelsier said with a nod. Tell them I'll be down in a moment. And that ends the second POV part of the chapter.
Mm. Going back to what yes, it is a Kelsier thing to say, but he's trying to figure out how he's going to make people believe in something. So he's talking about that they need belief. They are defeated. They have no hope. They have nothing to really hold on to. So it's been very efficient. What's happening with the Lord Ruler? He's done his job very well. But yeah, the fact is he is considering he needs to be giving them something to believe in. So I mean, yes, it's a joke. I should found one that makes it a good to kill nobleman because that's the practicality and the harsh extreme of it.
But what if this is exactly what happened with the Lord Ruler?
They have nothing to believe in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like
they
this
believe
apocalypse is coming.
Yeah, and they believe in too many different things. They need to have one thing that they believe in.
Yes, yeah. And
they have to
stop the apocalypse.
Yeah, but they don't. You see, the thing is that they don't believe in the Lord Ruler. They fear him. So they believe in the reasons that he has given them, in terms of they fear him.
Yes.
So that's kind of soured it.
Oh man, but I liked the Kelsier and Sazed interaction as well. I think we're getting insight into their dynamic. He's very much teaching Kelsier.
Yeah.
Anything else to say before we move on to the next section?
No, I just want to get to it. What progress report? Let's go.
Vin sat in her overstuffed chair in the conference room, legs tucked beneath her, trying to study Marsh out of the corner of her eye. He looked so much like Kelsier, but he was stern. He wasn't angry, nor was he grumpy like Clubs. He just wasn't happy. He sat in his chair, a neutral expression on his face. The others had all arrived except for Kelsier, and they were chatting quietly among themselves. Vin caught Lestiborn's eyes and waved him over. The teenage boy approached and crouched beside her chair.
Marsh,
Vin whispered beneath the general hum of the room.
Is that a nickname?
Nothing without the call of his parents. Vin tried to decipher what she could of the boy's Eastern dialect.
Not a nickname, then.
Lestiborn shook his head. He wasn't one, though.
What was
it? There's a train in the background.
And that's going to make me laugh even more. I love this guy. He wasn't one, though. That's how you say he had one. He wasn't one, though.
Yes.
Like, I didn't take it. Only when you said it, then I got it. Oh, well, only when we got to what was it, then I understood what he meant. Okay.
Yes, it's very confusing.
He wasn't one, though. Okay, can you start with he wasn't one now?
He wasn't one, though.
What was it?
Iron eyes. Others stopped using it. Too calling close to an iron in the real eyes, eh, Inquisitor?
Okay.
What? Okay, I've got to do that again slowly. Iron eyes. Others stopped using it. Too calling close to an iron in the real eyes, eh? Inquisitor. Okay, so there was an Inquisitor. There was a close call.
No, he's saying it's too close. It's too close to calling calling him Iron Eyes is too close to calling him like an Inquisitor, because Inquisitors have metal in their eyes, so it's too
Oh, I
it's
see,
it's
I
too
see, I
much
see, I
like
see, I
it.
see. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. You're right.
In the real eyes, eh? Real iron in the eyes. I love this dialect. I want to speak it so bad.
Oh man, did you ever end up saying "Not of the Yeti" yet after
No, I
we recorded?
didn't. I didn't get to say it. Don't worry, I will one
Uh,
day.
one day. Let us know when. Oh, that was your perfect opportunity to say "Not of the Yeti" yet.
I didn't even. I'm too busy. My brain's too confuzzled trying to figure out what's on the page here. But yes, a lot of that. It was right there. It was right there. God damn it.
Vin glanced at Marsh again. His expression was hard, his eyes unwavering, almost like they were made of iron. She could see why people would stop using the nickname. Even referring to a Steel Inquisitor made her shiver.
Thanks.
Lestiborn smiled. He was an earnest boy, strange, intense, and jumpy, but earnest. He retreated to his stool as Kelsier finally arrived. All right, crew, he said. What have we got? Besides the bad news? Breeze asked. Let's hear it. It's been 12 weeks and we've gathered under 2,000 men, Ham said. Even with the numbers the rebellion already has, we're going to fall short. Okay, hold on a sec. So it was 2 months, 3 months. So we've got a 1 month time skip between the last chapter and this one. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Docs? Kelsier asked. Can we get more meetings? Probably, Doxson said from his seat beside a table stacked with ledgers. Are you sure you want to take that risk, Kelsier? Yedden asked. His attitude had improved during the last few weeks, especially once Kelsier's recruits had begun to file in. As Reen had always said, results made quick friends. I'm glad to hear that Yedden's personality has improved. That's good. That'll be...
They thought he was beyond help, but his attitude has somewhat changed. That's good.
Yes. Well, they can tick that off of the chalkboard. Yedden's bad attitude. Sounds like it's good.
Been soothed.
We're already in danger, Yedden continued. Rumors are all over the underground. If we make any more stir, the ministry is going to realize that something major is happening. He's probably right, Kel, Doxson said. Besides, there are only so many skull willing to listen. Luthadel is big, true, but our movement here is limited. All right, Kelsier said. So we'll start working with the other towns in the area. Breeze, can you split your crew into 2 effective groups? I suppose, Breeze said hesitantly. We can have one team work in Luthadel and the other work in surrounding towns. I can probably make it to all of the meetings, assuming we organize them so they don't happen at the same time. That many meetings will expose us even more, Yedden said. And that, by the way, brings up another problem, Ham said. Weren't we supposed to be working on infiltrating the ministry's ranks? Well, Kelsier asked, turning to Marsh. Marsh shook his head. The ministry is tight. I need more time. It's not going to happen, Clubs grumbled. Rebellion's already tried it. Yedden nodded. We've tried to get spies into the inner ministry a dozen times. It's impossible. The room fell silent.
I have an idea,
Vin said softly. Oh, this is exciting. I like it. She's speaking up. Oh, that is so happy to hear.
Cameron.
Quick.
Yeah.
Oh, did you look at?
Okay.
I was gonna.
What?
I was
Oh.
gonna see if we had predictions for what her plan was, but.
Well, no, that doesn't. I haven't looked further than Cameron. I don't have predictions. Do you?
Well, now I think she's gonna get Cameron to or Cameron's crew to do some. I don't.
I have
no clue.
I just want to find out. Yeah.
Okay. Kelsier raised an eyebrow.
Cameron,
she said.
He was working on a job before you recruited me. Actually, it was a job that got us spotted by the Obligators. The core of that plan was organized by another thief, a crew leader named Theron. He was setting up a fake canal convoy to carry ministry funds to Lutherdale.
And, Breeze asked.
Those same canal boats would have brought new ministry acolytes to Lutherdale for the final part of their training. Ah. Theron has
clever.
a contact along. Yeah, it is. Let's see how that we bring the new recruits in.
Yes.
Just make sure
Replace
that
them.
replace them. That's it. Just whoopsie, someone fell in the water. It's okay.
Yes. Although,
Yeah.
if there is genetics at play, if there are genetics at
Mhm.
play, that could do them in potentially.
Yeah, we need the having them replaced, as in what do we replace them with? That's an interesting.
Yeah, sorry, if you're not O
Mhm.
negative, or if you're not B positive,
It's
we'll
something.
know.
We'll see.
Okay,
Let's
sorry.
see how it goes. No. It's you're being what's it? You're being you're thinking about how this would work. So
Yes.
let's see. We'll learn.
Reread the line, please.
Those same canal boats would have brought new ministry acolytes to Lutherdale for the final parts of their training. Theron has a contact along the route, a lesser obligator who is open to bribes. Maybe we could get him to add an acolyte to the group from his local chapter.
Kelsier nodded thoughtfully. It's worth looking into. Dachshund scribbled something on a sheet with his fountain pen. I'll contact Theron and see if his informant is still viable.
So so I suppose the replacement would actually still be what's her name, an acolyte anyway. It's just that one that they. So there you go. Problem solved. Yeah.
Yes. How are our resources coming? Kelsier asked. Dachshund shrugged. Ham found us 2 ex-soldier instructors. The weapons, however, well, Renault and I are making contacts and initiating deals, but we can't move very quickly. Fortunately, when the weapons come, they should come in bulk. Kelsier nodded. That's everything, right? Breeze cleared his throat. I've been hearing a lot of rumors on the streets, Kelsier, he said. The people are talking about this 11th metal of yours. Good, Kelsier said. Aren't you worried that the Lord Ruler will hear? If he has forewarning of what you're going to do, it will be much more difficult to resist him.
He didn't say kill.
Vin thought.
They don't think that Kelsier can do it.
Kelsier just smiled. Don't worry about the Lord Ruler. I've got things under control. He's lying. Because we know he doesn't know. Don't worry about the Lord Ruler. I've got things under control. In fact, I intend to pay the Lord Ruler a personal visit sometime during the next few days.
What? We had no intention of that. We had no hint of that. Okay.
No, and okay. Yedden apparently feels as we do. Visit? Yedden asked uncomfortably. You're going to visit the Lord Ruler? Are you insane? Yedden trailed off, then glanced at the rest of the room. Right. I forgot. He's catching on, Dachshund noted. Heavy footsteps sounded in the hallway, and one of Ham's guards entered a moment later. He made his way to Ham's chair and whispered a brief message. Ham frowned. What? Kelsier asked. An incident, Ham said. Incident? Dachshund asked. What kind of incident? You know that lair we met in a few weeks back, Ham said. The one where Kel first introduced his plan?
Cammon's lair.
Vin thought, growing apprehensive. Well, Ham said, apparently the ministry found it. Oh, that's a cliffhanger-ish thing.
Ish. I mean, like there were some people she gave a shit about there.
Yeah, but like, how many of them are gonna squeal? What information can they get from that? How bad is this? I don't think it's like career ending for them. It's
unforeseen, but we knew that shit wasn't going to go down smoothly.
Yeah, and they already more or less knew that layer was there. Like if they had ministry spies there already, this can't have been a total shock. So I would hope that they were able to cover their tracks in 3 months. But then again, in 3 months, they could have been well, it sounds like if they were saying, the layer we used several weeks back,
Mm.
that means
It
they
is,
might not have been reusing it.
yeah, that was just the one time.
Okay. I don't think
But the
this
point
is
is,
horrible.
it's not horrible, but it's a problem, an incident. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Okay, so wow, good chapter. Really good chapter.
I enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
doing it live has been good. Been fun.
Yeah, this was a neat experiment. I don't know if I'm going to want to do it again. Do you have strong feelings?
No, not really either way. But the thing is, we both of us are feeling that we want to go and read again. I think, especially for you, because you're reading, you're mostly just trying to figure out who's speaking and things like that. So I don't know how much you're absorbing. I'm getting to absorb a lot more because I'm just listening to you read. So that's fine. So there's a lot that we land up missing when we do it this way, or not.
Yeah.
But we also just get to bounce off each other, though. So it's not bad. I don't. It's not
I
that the live thing is bad.
Yeah, I know. I really did enjoy the novelty of being in the moment with you,
Yeah.
and learning these things at the same time you do. That was really, really enjoyable. At the same
Mm.
time, I do like having the week to read and then reread and sort of um, make my own connections and associations and hopefully be able to articulate better my experience reading it after the fact.
Yeah, and
So
when we do have these different experiences, we still end up having different interpretations even when we're doing it live. So that makes sense. So you can see how these differences actually do then play out when we do come together and discuss. So like, but then also I like the just experiencing it at the same time. It was a cool thing to be doing, I think.
yeah, I'm not against doing it again in the future if there ever is like a dire cliffhanger where we need to know. It's nice to know that we can pull this out of our back pocket, or
Yeah.
if we do have scheduling interferences again once the holidays are over, again we'll have it in our back pocket. Or hey, maybe we'll get a bunch of comments from subscribers saying, hey, we liked this format, and that could convince us.
Which reminds me, you should probably subscribe.
Yes,
I
if you
mean,
like.
yeah, I mean, we're not using Allomancy on you. We're just saying.
No, we're just working hard to make content that
hmm
hopefully you enjoy, uh, and it's not at all a manipulation.
At
Um,
all. Us mentioning this right now is not even a manipulation at all. hmm
yes, but in seriousness, please go and subscribe to That Darn Kitteh. She has an incredible channel where she does panel shows on Thursdays where I sometimes make jokes, and she does some wonderful gaming streams and or debate diagram streams either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays depending on her schedule.
Just come and hang out.
Um, yeah, it's really is a wonderful, wonderful community that she's building.
That Dorcas is building with me. That we're all building together. Yeah.
True. Yes. Okay. Thank you all for listening so, so much. It is greatly appreciated. Have a
hmm
wonderful week. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.